What's the top concern for HR leaders everywhere? The answer, employee engagement. It's been low and a big issue for years, but now it's number one. What's the solution? Is it corporate culture and simplifying work? There may be other answers too. Welcome to Firing Line. I'm Bill Kutik, and joining us now for the second program in our special two-part series with him is Josh Bersin, Principal of Bersin by Deloitte. I expect you know Josh, if not from his last program, then as the most widely followed researcher, analyst, and commentator about HR technology. Welcome back, Josh.
Thank you, Bill. Great to be here.
Josh, last time we talked about learning and performance management. This time we're going to talk about engagement, which seems to be the most intractable problem that HR has, and it's had it for a long time. But what do you think has made it jump to the top of HR's list all of a sudden?
Well, it's amazing how it suddenly became number one. I think there's just a whole confluence of things that have come together. Young people entering the workforce, dramatic changes in the way we work, technology, business acceleration in the new economy, coming out of the recession, people more interested in values and purpose than they used to and just making money, although people are still interested in that too. So these have all come together and created this sort of weird combination that's made it very hard for businesses to adapt to a different kind of workforce and transparency in the market. It's easier to find a new job than it ever was before.
Right. You remember when we were in our 20s, we were begging for a job and the king was granting it. Now employees seem to have more power than the owners do.
Well, and we need to think about employees like volunteers. And we have to engage them at work, and we need to re-recruit them continuously. And the other thing that's changed this is our employment brand is now on the internet. So if we're not a good employer, people find out about it. So there's all these pressures forcing organizations to really look at employee engagement as a critical business strategy, not an HR strategy.
And another problem with engagement, you've described it this way, I think you were the first one to describe it this way, is the overwhelmed employee. Tell me about that.
Well, we did some really interesting research last year and again this year, and we found that more than 2/3 of the companies we studied believe that one of their critical business issues is complexity and the overwhelming nature of work. Constant streams of information coming on your phone, too many emails, too many conference calls, too many meetings.
You're describing your life, Josh.
My life's like that. Everybody's life is like that. You take work home. You have work in in your bedside table. So this is a problem that has affected people's engagement, and companies really have to rethink the way they work internally, the way their jobs are designed, and the way their systems work to make employees comfortable and happy in their jobs.
I think you once told me of a staggering example of HR contributing to complexity.
Well, I think one of the wake-up calls for us is that we're part of the problem, to be honest. I was at an automobile company over the summer, and we were talking about the development of their technical professionals, and they told me they had just built a 62-level competency model for their manufacturing engineers, and they asked me, how do we assess people against 62 competencies? And I said, well, I don't know. I'm not sure you can. We tend to make things complicated. We tend to be craftsmen that like the elegance of the solution, and now we need to learn how to create simplicity and clarity in the solution.
Give me an example of how maybe HR has contributed to simplicity.
Well, a big example, there's a very large, well-known company, I won't mention their name, that's been going through a massive simplification program. And one of the things they found, and they were doing this for business reasons because they felt like they weren't competing well against their own competitors, is that people were being coached on their goals. People were having performance appraisals. And they said, you know what, that's not what we need. We need managers to coach employees how to do less, how to get more work done on the critical things and how to put other things off their plate. So they've refocused all their leaders on how to teach their people how to do fewer things and give people the right to say no, not come to the meeting, don't respond to the email, and just work on the most important things. And that's a really refreshing change.
I'm ashamed to admit that some 27-year-old told me for the first time the expression minimum viable product.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, there's a really interesting, sort of wave going through business started by, it's called the lean startup, where you get a product in front of customers as fast as you possibly can and you iterate. And this really comes from the agile software movement. And in the case of this particular company, they had 2-year product cycles where they would get products in front of customers and then suddenly find out, They don't really want it this way, and they've already put 2 years into it. So this particular company is going back and forcing their engineers to get products in front of customers far earlier and go through this iterative process much faster.
Better to get it out than make it perfect.
Exactly. And I think we have the same problem in HR, by the way.
Tell me.
I mean, we buy complicated software, we spend 2 years designing it, we roll it out, we teach everybody how to use it, and we find out they're not using it. They don't want to use it, they're too busy doing other things, they don't have time, it's too complex. We need to go through the same process. We need to strip out most of the things we do in HR to the bare basics, focus on what's really going to drive performance and engagement or learning or whatever it may be, and focus on that. And that's a new way of design thinking within HR.
Josh, thank you for coming back. Thank you for continuing to be passionate about this stuff after all these years. It's just been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Bill.
Please join us at the end of July to hear from Brian Sommer, a 32-year veteran consultant and analyst, formerly a full partner at Accenture, about the brand new technologies just beginning to touch and help HR. Thank you for watching. I'm Bill Kutik.